again, didn't you?
I've lost a few more, yeah.
You are looking great. You're feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling great, but my wife's starting to worry that I'm losing too much weight now, so
How much are you?
I've lost 95 so far.
What do you weigh now?
205.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations, just to let you know. I've been trying to lose 5 pounds for 5 years. I thought a pound a year would be reasonable. Let's go. Well, today is September 10th, 2012. We have another individual who's a longtime contributor to Lakewood Country Club, an individual that we want to have recording of his dynamic leadership and details of his family and the events that he has brought forward to Lakewood. Mike Manco, and I turn it all over to you, Mike. We're just going to talk and start off with the basic question is, tell me, where were you born?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1945, and lived here all my life on the west side of Cleveland. Born and raised in Rocky River, and lived in Fairview and Westlake the rest of the time. So
Where did you live in Rocky River?
I lived actually just north of Westwood on Bates Road, off Detroit. We lived there. It was a one dead-end street, graveled road. But we lived there from when I was 1 until my folks moved out of there 46 years later. So,
Okay, let's go.
okay.
Okay, so now you're on Bates, and you went through Rocky River school system.
Right, Rocky River High School and Rocky River Old School.
Okay, and what happened after you graduated from high school?
I went off to a junior college at the time called Lincoln Junior College for a year, and then from there I went to Kent State and spent seemed like 100 years there, but I finally got out and went to work in Cleveland, a place called Central National Bank. And
I knew you were a banker.
a brief, and then I went to work for Union Commerce Bank. Remember them?
Yeah.
And worked a few years there. And then I went to Medical Mutual in 1975, and I stayed there till 1985, and ended up being the CFO there. Working, enjoyed that time there.
That's on 9th Street.
9th and Euclid, right?
Right there.
Yeah.
I remember the big sign.
Yeah.
Was there anything, experiences that you remember that were unusual, or the handling insurance and you were a CFO downtown Cleveland?
Two things stand out. Well, mostly negative, but the two things that were interesting, I found out that the more people submitted claims, the less they liked us. So if they never submitted a claim, they had nothing negative to say about us. But no, it was a good experience. A lot of nice people working there, and a lot of dedicated people. And a time of turmoil in that industry. When I started there were 167 Blue Cross Blue Shield plans around the country, and when I left, there was less than 25. A lot of them had merged or gone out of business. So we ended up merging with Toledo, and then Columbus, and then Blue Cross of Northeast Ohio, which was the first few floors of our building, and then they tried to merge with HCA, Hospital Corporation of America, which the governor of Florida was at the time the CEO of, and that didn't go over too well. That cost a few people their jobs, and so it ended up in a bad way. But I left there in '85, and my brother and I started up Great Lakes Computer, and we worked together for 10 years. We built it up to a nice company, and then I started a company called Interactive Healthcare Technologies that was, we married the internet and software so that we were the first ones in the country. In fact, a doctor could, you could go to your primary care physician, and at that time he could refer you to a specialist. Well, the paperwork have to go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield for approval, and then back to him, where this way we developed a software so he could enter the information over a touch-tone phone, and it would show up immediately in the doctor's office on the internet. And at that time, there was only 4 or 5% of all the doctor's offices had computers. So we offered that as a free service, and we got a lot of nice business out of Blue Cross and out of Pennsylvania Blue Cross Blue Shield and Texas and Allstate, and it was a lot of fun experience. And then I sold the business in 2000 to a company out of Seattle, and I retired. So I've been down 12 years retired. So,
yeah. So tell me about your wife and the family.
I met my wife 46 years ago, 47 years ago. I was home from college on a weekend, and they had the old Silverthorne bar was in the bottom of the Westlake Hotel, and they used to put on dances every once in a while down in a ballroom in the basement. And we came home, we're sitting in a bar having a beer, just went to the Indians ball game, and somebody told us about a dance going on over there, so we went across and went down into the ballroom, and I met her and had to fight off a few guys. But and then we were married 2 years later, and I was still in school, and she was working as a nurse, and it took me 7 years to get out of college, and I never quit, and I never got flunked out. That's how, I've changed my major so many times, and I had so many hours. I remember the dean calling me in and said, look, we're graduating you. It's impossible for you to get your GPA up high enough to graduate because your credit hours were so many of them. So he kicked me out of there in 1970, but she would go to work.
Hope for my son. He's about in year 8 right now, Mike.
We had a little Sony TV. It was about, the screen was no bigger than this, and she would take the extension cord for it to work with her so that I couldn't watch TV. So I had to do my homework.
That's one way to get students to study.
Right. Yeah. But we raised 4 daughters, and I have 3 great son-in-laws now, and I have 9 grandkids. Oldest is 15, and youngest is a year and a half, and they're a lot of fun. So we've enjoyed them. Enjoyed the whole family. It's been a great experience.
Where are they located at?
They're all right here in Cleveland. When they first got out of the house, they were scattered all over the place in East Lansing and down at Dayton, and one was in Brecksville, and the other one was in the Marine Corps. And so we built a big house off of Bradley Road so that when they'd come home, they had a place. And the day we moved in, they all decided they're coming home. So within 6 months, they all moved back to Cleveland, and we had this huge house for nothing. So we downsized about 7 years later. But they all live in 2 of them live in Rocky River, and one lives in Westlake, and one lives in Lakewood. So they're all close by. Every Sunday we get together for Sunday dinner with all 20 of us and my mother, and we just have a good old time.
How old is your mother?
She's 96. She's doing well. She lives by herself still. She comes out of the house at a drop of a hat for a party. And she's got a mind that like a trap. She won't forget anything.
She's an amazing lady.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
Absolutely. She has just been a wonderful experience for us to have her this long, and healthy she doesn't take any medication of any kind. And the doctor, we take her in every 6 months for a checkup, and the doctor says, well, what do you eat? And she says, well, I eat ice cream, and I eat a chocolate, and because she has a sweet tooth, and she's taking notes, and we expect her to say, knock it off this. She says, I got to start doing what you're doing.
Great. Oh, my goodness sakes.
Well, hopefully you got her genes, right?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
I know your brother didn't, but
Yeah, my goodness, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, tell me your dad. Now, tell me a little bit about your dad.
Well, he was a dentist. After World War II, he got out. He was a dentist before World War II, and he got out, opened his practice on West 65th in Detroit in what's called the Gordon Square area where he grew up. And he practiced there right until he retired at age 75. And he worked 6 days a week, but he'd take a half a day off on Wednesdays and half a day off on Saturdays to play golf, and that was his passion. That and bowling were his big things. So.
Yeah. When did your mom and dad join Lakewood? Do you recall?
Yeah, it was. My dad first joined Columbia Hills in 1950, and in '53 they switched to Lakewood because it was just too far to go. And why they never went to Westwood, which was right across the street, I have no idea. They never told me. And but I was 8 years old when we joined there, and I have some wonderful, fond memories of that place from those years. It was a different kind of club than it is today. You know.
How so? Tell us.
Well, it was. And I don't think it had as many members. It was a smaller group, and the ladies. I remember my mother used to haul us out every Tuesday morning. Drop us off at the clubhouse. She would go play golf. We would, there was probably, I'd say a dozen kids that ended up the chef would take look after us. We had a playground outside the parking lot at the old clubhouse, swing set and things like that. And he would bring out paper bags for us to draw pictures on or something like that to keep us busy. Then he'd go in and cook. And then we would sit around having lunch. He would make us hamburgers in the boardroom of the old clubhouse. and then we would take and go for a walk. I remember going up the creek between 10 and 18, which at that time was 1 and 2, looking for golf balls along the creek bed. And so then in about 54, 55, they built the swimming pool. And that was where it is now, the same spot. And they hired a gal to like daycare kind of thing. And we never went home until 4 or 5 on Tuesday afternoon, and we'd be out there again on Sunday or something like that as a family day. And my dad would haul us out there to play golf. My mother, my 2 older sisters, and my brother was too young to learn. And by then I think my dad lost patience with the rest of us. But we would play Sunday afternoons, and so we had, and when they opened the pool up, I remember our next door neighbor across the street was Bob Payne. He's a longtime member, been there for many a year, and he raised 2 daughters, and the youngest one was Christine. And they had a kind of like a fanfare. They opened up the chain link fence, and we could go running and jumping in the pool, because the first day it was open, and we held hands and jumped into the deep end, and she couldn't swim. So we had a crisis right off the bat, but yeah, that was quickly ended. She became a great swimmer, and we used to go there every day almost. My mom would take us or drop us off and come back at the end of the day, and so it was a good place to hang out. And and I remember there was a guy named Wally Grossman. He was a member there, and he had a daughter. I think her name was Sally. And in those days, when you ordered something at the snack bar, you had to sign your name on a chit. And so they'd mail you the punch card. It was an IBM punch card at the end of the month with your bill, so you could see just exactly who did what. And I remember my dad used to get all upset if he got more than an inch stack of punch cards. But Wally Grossman had a fit because he had like a 4 or 5 inch stack of punch cards the first month, because his daughter Sally was the only one who could sign her name. She was old enough to write her own name, and so she would sign her name to everybody's chit. So Wally Grossman paid for the first month of our bills out there. The cheeseburgers and everything. It was all on him. It was a lot of fun then. A lot of memories. But
I have a question on the clubhouse. Excuse me. Describe the clubhouse, the old on Bradley Road. We don't have any drawings of that, although Don Burney and Jane Corrigan we've asked them to go back in their memory banks and draw to their remembrance of that building. Could you describe that building in its
Sure.
what you remember, please?
Well, you come off of Bradley Road. It was a like a circle. You would come into a loop, and then there off of that was an entrance to the parking lot. It was just an open area, and between the parking lot and the clubhouse was a putting green, and you would walk up a deck, a long deck, which was the front, and get in the front door. And as you came in the front door, it was a center hall type of structure. There was a stairwell that went upstairs, and the ladies' locker room was upstairs. We were not allowed to go up there. We had to sit at the bottom of the step and wait for our mother to come down. And there was an old lady there who was the locker room attendant. Her name was Helen. And she used to yell at us if we came up 2 steps up higher than we were allowed to. And but if you went straight back, the boardroom was in the back.